Now, the Renault Kiger is not a new kid on the block. It is about to be half a decade ever since this car first got launched, and nothing much has changed in terms of the design element. And it has worked really well with this car because it's a no nonsense design. It functions really well within the Indian public. But let's start off with the key, which is the key point of this review, because this is a key card, something which we saw for the first time with the Renault Fluence about 2 decades ago. It has a lock unlock button, a boot release, and a light button to check out where your car is while you've parked it in a dark spot. Now, onto the exterior, it's got that massive Renault logo on the front. You've got the DRLs over here and three pod headlamps over here. This sort of an angle looks pretty reminiscent of the Hyundai Tucson of the current generation somehow. I don't know if you agree to it. You can agree to disagree with me as well. Now, onto the side, it's quintessentially Renault Kiger. Looks pretty bold, pretty handsome. Larger overhangs in the front, very less overhang at the back, and these 8-spoke alloy wheels in the top of the line RX Z variant. And you can figure out that this is the top of the line car when you see the RX Z variant written on the front fender. Now, as you come close to the car, this key card has a proximity sensor. You just have to keep it in your wallet or inside your pocket, and the car locks unlock, making it a very easy affair to just walk to your car, open up the door, and start off the car. It's a proper keyless and go system, which I haven't seen in a long time. Usually, you have a request sensor on the door handles. Here, it's proper keyless and go, and it has been a very, very effortless experience using this car. Otherwise, you've got a swooping roofline at the back, which is again quintessential Renault with these twin spoilers. I'm not sure if you can see, but that's a twin spoiler setup. Looks really handsome with that shark fin antenna at the back. A Renault badge with Kiger lettering on the bottom. Renault over here, turbo Xtronic. Xtronic is the CVT gearbox. And whilst we're at the back, I'll just show you the boot space, which is quite substantial. Now, this is a good amount of boot space, but my only gripe is that the ingress is quite high. The boot lip is quite high, so putting in large bags could become a bit of a hassle. But otherwise, it's a healthy enough boot space. How do you like the exterior of the Renault Kigo? Put us down in the comments. Now, without spending too much time, let's get on to the inside of the cabin. Now, exactly when you step inside the cabin, you're greeted by this wonderful layout of a cabin, which is pretty good when you consider that this car only costs 10.9 lakh rupees. It's got a nice soft leather steering wheel with cruise control buttons over here, your audio controls over here. This is a steering wheel which has a rake adjustment and not a reach adjustment. The first and foremost thing that attracts your eye is the instrument cluster, which is a colored screen which changes as per the mode you select. You have eco mode, you've got your normal mode, and then you have your sport mode, which activates your tachometer over here. And all of this can be adjusted by this mode selector switch, which has been neatly tucked besides the gearbox over here. You also have your ambient light switch over here, which switches on the ambient light underneath the front handrail and the dashboard. Pretty neat. All you need to do is press one button to go full dark mode on the inside whilst you're doing your long distance trip on the highway. You don't have to toggle through the different menus on the touchscreen, which is also a very good size. I absolutely love it. If this is the view of the driver, this does not intrude into your visual space because that is how it's supposed to be. So the screen is not this big. It's not placed over here, it's placed over there. So it's nice and neatly tucked right in above the air conditioning vents, which are also pretty effective in terms of their airflow. You also have your air conditioning vents over here, which have a good amount of airflow from here as well. You have These air conditioning rotor dials over here to adjust the fan speed, your temperature, and your modes. And you have a digital display inside of them. You can increase or decrease your fan speed from here. You have these buttons over here for lock, hazard button, your rear defogger, and your ESP switch as well. A nice tray to keep your large size mobile phones, wallets, etc. Start stop button over here, type A port over here, your button to switch on or off your cruise control from here. Who would have thought? Like, whilst you're driving on the highway, you might hit these buttons and switch on cruise control unnecessarily. If you want cruise control, just switch it on from here and you can control it via these buttons. You see that reading over there which says cruise control is now switched on. It can be switched on or off from here. Very nicely integrated. You also have a wireless charger over here. Nice large cubby hole which can accommodate a large 1.75 liter bottle with absolute ease. You also have a place to keep your purse, your pens, two cups. Very nicely done, and it can open up as a combo as well, and it has this shutter system which is pretty brilliant. The storage situation in this car is pretty good. You've got large door pockets on the side with more pockets to store smaller bottles. You have this large glove box on the top. You have another glove box at the bottom, storage over here. This car has quite a lot of storages, and these seats are pretty nice. You've got a fabric insides with leatherette on the sides, and they're very cushy and very supportive for long distance trips. Although this might look like fabric, but this actually scratchy plastic. I already scratched it. But otherwise, the armrest over here is leatherette. It is a nice squidgy material which goes all the way till here. It's also there on the side of the driver where you have squidgy rubbery leatherette over here. Overall, a very well packaged interior for the front cabin. Let's check out how does it feel at the back being a passenger. Now, here in the back seat of the Kaigo, the space situation is pretty brilliant. I'm 5 feet 8 inches tall. This seat has been adjusted as per my driving style in a more relaxed position. And I have tons of knee room, good amount of headroom as well, and the overall shoulder area is also very good. The seat back recline is also pretty comfortable for me to do long distance trips. The visual up front is also pretty nice. I've got this nice armrest with a place to keep my mobile phone and two cups. There is a huge bottle holder over here, two air conditioning vents over here with a 12-volt socket to put my charging port where I can switch from either type A or type C. You can put away this armrest, and you've got a nice squidgy armrest over here as well. So otherwise, it is quite a comfortable position here in the back seat of the Kaigo, and that is why a lot of families with tall people are preferring it as their primary choice of small car. Pretty good. Now, first things first, the Renault Kaigo is a very easy car to drive. Easy is the keyword that I'm going to use the most in my communications about this car on my social media, on my YouTube, or even on my website, because it actually is. Now, this one has the same underpinnings of the car that I've had for the longest time as a press car, and that's the Nissan Magnite. It's got the same engine as well. It's got the 1 liter turbocharged petrol motor, which is pretty smooth, pretty robust, and I have lived with it for 48,000 kilometers over the period of 2.5 years, and I've had no issues whatsoever with that car mechanically. But this one has a different gearbox. It's the CVT, which is actually very effortless. Now, I have been driving this car primarily between the city and the highway, not on different terrains as such. I have gone through some really rough patches of roads, and it has been an effortless experience nonetheless. The air conditioning is working fine. I've switched to the first fan speed at 25 degrees Celsius, although it's 30 degrees Celsius outside, and the air conditioning is absolutely effective. That's how good this car is. When you have underpinnings of a Japanese car, you're bound to succeed and stay as robust as possible. Now, the best part about this car and what makes it so good as a daily driver is this mode switch over here. Now, I have now deliberately switched to eco mode to maximize my fuel economy because I'm going to go through some start stop traffic. And it just cuts down the power by about 30%. You feel that in the accelerator pedal. The car does not jump too much while you're accelerating it lightly, which isn't the best thing if you're a car enthusiast. But if you're someone who drives from point A to point B 5 times in a day and you don't want to spend too much money on fuel bills, this works perfectly fine. And that's sort of an option in a car that costs 10.9 lakh rupees ex showroom is a pretty good deal. And this button also is very high quality. I really like the fit and finish of each and every button on this car. It feels high quality for 10.9 lakh rupees. The other thing that you get in 10.9 lakh rupees is the Citroen C3. And mind you, that car is a little short change when it comes to fit, finish, and quality on the overall. Although Citroen has improved the car substantially, but only just. Now, currently we are on a highway and driving on normal mode, but if you toggle the drive mode selector to the left, it switches to eco mode, and instantly I could feel that the car has cut down the power by about 30 to 40%. Like, I have to press the accelerator a little more to extract the power and torque to move this car properly, and that is done to save on fuel. This car would then spray less amount of fuel in the cylinders, making it more difficult for this car to be less efficient. And right now I'm averaging about, let's say, 16 and a half kilometers to the liter, and it's not something which you would like to do on the highway. This is best when you're driving through start stop traffic where you are moving slowly and really want to save on fuel. So it's highly recommended while you're on the highway, switch to normal mode, and instantly you feel that the car has come back to life. It's become normal. When you're pressing the accelerator, it's become really, really effortless to drive this car. The revs are in a good range. The fuel economy too is marginally okay for highway, but this is where the car is able to pull a lot of weight in the boot or in the passenger seats with ease. It becomes more effortless in the normal mode, which I really, really like. But if you fancy going a little fast, like I'm on the toll booth right now, and all I have to do is toggle the switch to sports mode, it turns the speedometer to tachometer, and the engine then stays in the rev range. It shifts at about 3,500 RPM rather than 2,000 RPM, which is pretty good, and it catches up speed in an effortless way. It doesn't make you feel like you're driving a 10.9 lakh rupee raised up hatchback. This is a very, very effortless crossover. Now I'm doing 120 kilometers an hour, and I'm barely pushing the accelerator pedal to, let's say, 30%, which is absolutely fantastic. Now come back to the normal mode, and it calms down a little bit. It shifts at a much nominal RPM. You do feel that there is less power being extracted from its fuel management system, and becomes more calm, more easy. All you want to do is switch on the cruise control and set your speed to about 80-85 kilometers an hour, where the fuel economy is optimum. That is the average speed that anyone in India does, which is 85 kilometers an hour. And as I can see on my fuel economy meter, I'm doing anywhere between 21 to 22 kilometers to the liter, which is staggering. This is an effortless car in every phase of driving it. Renault has nailed the overall mechanical packaging as an everyday small car. This makes so much sense. Everything's ergonomic, everything's good to see and good to use. You've got proper touch points and nice fingerable buttons with good touch quality as well. Really, really like it. So what's my final verdict about the Renault Kaigo? It is a brilliant car which is packed with a very robust and reliable and economical to maintain engine, the HB10, which also does duty on the Nissan Magnite. And since I've used it thoroughly and I have extracted the best and the worst out of it, I think that mechanical setup is going to last a very long time. That CVT gearbox is actually pretty effortless to use within the city, and this engine and gearbox setup is what you would prefer if for the 95% of the time you would be driving within the city. On the highway too, it's not something that you will complain about at all, because that CVT gearbox does not scream too much like other CVT gearboxes in the market, and it does the job very well, sitting nicely at lower RPMs while you're doing 100 kilometers an hour, which has become the norm on most expressways within India. Now, besides the mechanical setup, the air conditioning is brilliant. The ergonomics in the cabin, especially in the front, are brilliant. It's very easy to use. You've got proper touch points for each and everything, proper physical button and rotary knobs, which make your life so much easier while you're doing long trips or driving through the city, through the traffic. It makes you less fatigued as a user who's using his fingers and senses to figure out things in the car. That's brilliant. It's very scientific, very logically laid out, and I'm glad in the last 4 years Renault has not done too many modifications to come up and make the car more viable for the current scheme of things with touch panels and touch controls, which would have just destroyed the entire theme on the inside of the car. The most important thing on this car is how economical it is to maintain on the whole. Now, I've lived with the Nissan Magnite for 2.5 years, as I mentioned, and in that time I properly owned that car. I paid the bills for my service and my fuel, and the ownership cost on these cars, especially with this HB10 engine, is pretty, and I would use the keyword cheap, because if I compare it to cars like the Maruti Swift, it actually comes out to be a cheaper car to maintain. And that is pretty brilliant. This is a French car with a Japanese heart, and that is something which I absolutely love. So it all then comes down to the value of the Renault Kaigo. This top of the line variant costs 10.9 lakh rupees ex-showroom, which I have repeated several times throughout the window, just to make you realize that a similarly priced Hyundai i20 is a little less kitted and a little less on space, with about the same engine specification but a little more power. But if you don't want to compromise on long-term reliability and great comfort, you would probably buy something like this. But until the time Renault expands its dealer network and after-sales service, it's still a questionable exercise. Although this car is very economical to run and own, still a long way to go for Renault to make its mark yet again in the country. Bring back the Duster and make your market strong again, Renault. I really like this car. I really do. You've been watching The Race Monkey. Thank you for watching, and always wear your seatbelts while you're out on the road. Goodbye.